Welcome to Talking Pop Culture with Jake D. I just got done watching Tenet at the theater, and oh my goodness, was this a good movie. First, I want to say once again, thank you to Flicks Brewhouse for providing a great environment to watch a movie in. I cannot say enough good things about Flicks. The past three movies that I have reviewed live in a reaction stream, I've seen all three of them over at Flicks, and they do an incredible job making their customers feel safe and comfortable in the environment. And all hail Flicks Brewhouse because they are amazing. Absolutely love Flicks. So, Tenet, Christopher Nolan's Tenet. What can I say about this movie? First, I'll tell you that this is definitely an 8.5, 9 out of 10. Excellent, excellent, excellent movie. I am so glad that I was able to see it in theaters live, and I hope that all of y'all are able to see it on the big screen very, very soon because it is well worth the price of the ticket, the concessions, the whole bang. This is a great, fun movie. You get a decent, rough idea of some of the things that are going on in the movie from the trailer. The acting in this movie is very, very good. There's not a single performance that I was disappointed in. Overall, everybody was really, really great. John David Washington as the protagonist leading this movie was just a hell of a performance. Every moment of it you believe, every moment you're feeling for the guy. You want to see him succeed, and you are invested in his character and his goals and what's happening to him. Robert Pattinson as Neil. So if you watched my Batman trailer reaction video, you'll notice I was really down on Pattinson's look in that trailer. He's got certainly a reputation. The biggest movie any of us have really seen him in prior to Tenet is, of course, the Twilight movies where he played the, squirrely, sparkly vampire guy in the YA stuff. I haven't seen any of his independent work that he's done over the past few years that reportedly is very, very good acting. I really liked Pattinson in Tenet. He was an amazing supporting character. He put in a good performance. He was 100% believable. He added a real gravitas to the role. And Pattinson was excellent. He looked good, he acted well, and he helped move the story of the movie along exceptionally well. I cannot say enough good things about Robert Pattinson in Tenet. He was excellent, and this performance has me a lot more optimistic about seeing him as Bruce Wayne and the Batman, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. I still don't like his look in that trailer, but the performance that he put in here in Tenet was outstanding. I'm very, very pleased with it. Can't say enough good things about it. The rest of the supporting cast, also very, very good in their roles. Elizabeth Debicki was outstanding as Kat. She had a very interesting arc throughout the movie. Her development and what she goes through is, again, very, very compelling. This movie is, it is Christopher Nolan, and it is compelling. Cannot say enough good things about it. I really can't. It was a great flick. It's the best movie I've seen this whole year. Now, granted, we missed 6 months in new releases because of the coof, but whatever. The story overall keeps you very, very engaged. You keep waiting, wanting to know what's going to happen next. I would say that this one was easier to grasp than, say, Inception. Um, but there's definitely points in this that are going to keep you talking and thinking and guessing. I'm looking forward to seeing this movie again, and I plan to see it again probably this coming weekend because I want an opportunity to take in some of the pieces that maybe weren't as clear in a first watch through as they're going to be in a rewatch and a rewatch and a rewatch. I do think that this movie's got pretty good legs. It's got good rewatchability, and in a normal box office condition, this thing would have likely been $1 billion movie or close. It was really, really good. And I'm definitely seeing it again. Absolutely seeing it again. It is, I'm going to start to get into some mild spoilers here as I talk about some of the conventions and some of the things that were going on throughout the movie. I'll let you know when I start to get into heavy spoilers, but the mild ones are going to start now. So you're aware that time travel, at least in some sense, is a part of this movie just based on the trailers. We already knew that going in, and it is a unique use of time travel. From my own experience of watching movies, I haven't seen them do it quite like this before. If you think back to the Umbrella Academy, and I see another couple of people popped in the stream, so just fair warning, I'm into mild spoilers right now. Just fair warning to you. So if you think to Umbrella Academy Season 2 and the final episode where Five learns how to rewind time, as opposed to just jumping through time, that rewind type of effect is in significant use in Tenet. And it's done through a technological invention in the future that basically can invert the experience of time for you see it used first with objects, and then eventually you find out it can be done with people as well through the use of some devices that are set up in a few different places, sort of around the world. Hey, Ginger, good to see you. Thank you for popping in. I'll tell you, this one's worth you seeing, but hey, you were warned. So, I mean, personally, I like spoilers myself. I don't think they ruin a movie, but I think I'm probably in the minority in that particular point of view. So they're in the future. They've invented the ability to reverse the flow of time, and they're able to send objects to basically travel backwards through time. And you can even reverse the flow of time for a person as well through these devices. They call them they're kind of like turnstiles. You know, it's a time turner type of approach. So you go into the machine on one side, you come out on the other, and you are still moving forward in your life. You're experiencing time at the same rate, but the world around you is going backwards in time. So when they saw you, you were going backwards, but as you're experiencing it, the world around you is, which is some really neat effects. There are a couple of really cool fight scenes in this movie where one person in the fight is flowing backward through time and the other person in the fight is flowing forward through time, which is really cool choreography, and it makes for some really badass visuals. The editing and the shooting process for those scenes must have been really technical, involved some really amazing choreography, and created some really good effects. The second act of the movie got somewhat predictable for me. I was able to call a few things ahead of time. Although I don't think that it was intended for you to get lost in the same way that Inception had a lot of people, even after they'd seen the end of it, not knowing what the hell they just watched. I didn't feel that way at the end of Tenet. It was, there was a lot going on, and the ending definitely has some stuff that you're left, saying, whoa, what the hell just happened? Right at the very end. And I'm still trying to digest kind of the last couple of scenes, to be honest with you. But the main character, he's known only as the protagonist. And again, John David Washington does a hell of a job playing him. The acting job is just phenomenal. Man, I really like that dude. Want to see him in more because he was great. So he's going through, and the general, thrust of the plot is this time reversal technology is ultimately going to be able to cause the destruction of the world and the end of the world. And so him and Neil are working together with a group called Tenet that is trying to stop that and prevent the end of the world, which is the result of a really evil motherfucker played amazingly by Kenneth Branagh. He is great. Love him in this movie. Again, yet another amazing performance. You really hate this guy. Branagh does just such a great job just making you absolutely loathe his character Andre, which is just great. So Andre's trying to bring about the end of the world with this time reversal technology, and the thing that was created in the future that ultimately was the genesis of the tech. And by using it in a certain way, he can end the world. And, so the protagonist and Neil are working to try to stop this. There's some really cool points where they utilize the time reversal, to their advantage to go back to certain points that you saw earlier in the movie. There's a few moments where the protagonist even bumps into himself. Of course, he didn't know it the first time he went through the scene going forward. Going backwards through the scene, of course, he did. So, and this Tenet organization is really, really big. It's like it's like an MI6 type organization, but even more secret and more widespread across the world than something like that. The movie had some really good. It felt in many ways kind of like one of the Daniel Craig Bond movies. Pretty heavy on action and just lots of fast-paced excitement throughout. But you do have some time to take a breath. There's scenes where they bring in some of the exposition that's necessary to help you understand what the hell's happening. And Nolan really just takes us through this story and this adventure that is just a really, really good romp. If you are a Doctor Who fan and you enjoy action, you are going to love this movie. I know, Ginger, you are a huge fan of Peter Capaldi, and if you like Who in general, just on top of that, beyond PCAP, a lot of the themes throughout this movie feel very Doctor Who. They operate throughout the movie with sort of a general assumption that whatever happened. So as they're going through, they've got that sort of general premise that they can't really change the past, even though they may be able to interact with it. And they talk a lot during the movie about the grandfather paradox, which is, if you went back in time and killed your own grandfather, well, wouldn't that somehow cause you to cease to exist? There's a little bit of discussion about parallel timelines and and alternate dimensions. They don't go into that all that much. And oh yeah, hey, I don't blame you. PCAP, he's my number one for me. I put Baker behind him, and that's number one and number two for me. This movie feels very Doctor Who, though, in a lot of ways, with the way that they're playing around with time and moving back and forth between it. And as they're working to stop Andre from destroying the world, Neil and the protagonist they've got great chemistry on scene. I'm still floored at how good Pattinson was in this. And he was definitely a believable action star. And again, that makes me much more optimistic about Matt Reeves, the Batman, because Pattinson was good, much to my surprise. I was really, really pleased to see that. So you're getting to, so I'm going to get into some, I've already been moving into more and more heavy spoilers. So I'm going to get real heavy on it. And I'm going to talk about my reaction to the end of this movie. So the final scene, the Tenet organization has set up 2 assault teams to try and stop Andre from destroying the world with the algorithm. And that's what created the time inversion technology, is the algorithm. And they send one assault team in that is in inverted time, and they send one assault team in that is in regular time. And so this big battle, half the people are moving through time one direction while the other half are moving through the other direction. And the team that went through it backwards actually provided information for a briefing for the team that's moving forward through time, which was a really cool use of the time stream technology that they're working with. It was really, really good use, made for a hell of a cool action scene at the end, because you've got people blowing stuff up in reverse in time. You got people blowing stuff up going forward in time. They're killing the OPFOR as a bunch of mercenaries that work for Andre, Kenneth Branagh, and just a really good battle scene. And the effects of the 2 different flows of time together is just so cool to watch. Nolan just makes it a visual treat, and you're loving it. And the goal is they send the protagonist down to try to capture the algorithm before it can be detonated and cause the end of the world. And Neil, mid-battle, reverses his flow in time to get in there and pull him out. And so that they work together to get out of there. And at the very, very end, you find out that not only does Neil go back to the battle for like a 3rd or a 4th time in different flows of time, but he actually sacrificed himself so that the protagonist could make everything work out and the world didn't end. Even though you see him walking off in the helicopter, you figure that he's actually about to walk off to reverse his flow of time in order to go, baby. There's a lot going on there, but you definitely get the distinct impression that Pattinson is about to go reverse the flow of time and sacrifice himself to help make everything work out the way that it's supposed to. Now, I've mentioned before that they operate under the general assumption during this movie that whatever happened, happened. And you can't change the past because it already happened. Even though it's your future, it's also your past. So you can't change the events. However, Elizabeth Debicki, who is Andre's wife, goes back to the where Andre is, and she's supposed to be trying to delay him while they capture the algorithm during this final battle scene. And she ends up killing Andre. But this occurred like 14 days before the start of the movie, you know, like on a calendar. And she pulls away from his yacht with, I mean, he's dead. She's dragging him behind her boat as they're going away. And so you're left with a lot of open questions. Did they change something dramatically? And if they didn't, how is Andre there and present sort of throughout the movie as they're going through it? And was this him after he reversed him? So that's where it starts getting a little twisted, and you're starting to think about how did that work as far as the time travel goes? Did they just execute the grandfather paradox? You know, so how exactly is all of this happening? And that's one of the things I want to watch more closely on my rewatch of this that I'm going to do probably this coming weekend, because I really want to see if I can figure that piece out, because it was definitely an open question for me at the end of the movie. And the big reveal at the end is that John David Washington's character, the protagonist, has actually been the mastermind behind the Tenet organization all along. And it's actually a future version of himself that was in the past. It'll get very, very, if you're a Doctor Who fan, very timey-wimey. I mean, there's all kinds of, back and forth and causal. So just really, really cool use of it. And you even find out that the protagonist actually ultimately recruited Neil to be a part of the organization, but way in the past from when he meets the protagonist during the movie. So just lots of neat, and that's why I say a lot of this, like, to me, it felt so Doctor Who in many, many ways. But throw in Casino Royale, Daniel Craig, Bond into that as well, and that's sort of what you get from Tenet, which is, I loved it. So, yes, yeah, very much so. Absolutely, Ginger, a lot like that. Although it's Neil that tells him that, right? So, and just a lot of fun, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. I mean, I'm going to call this a 9 out of 10. This was a really, really good movie. Expect Oscar nods for the visual effects because they were outstanding. Editing, director should get Oscar nods for all of those things. You might see Branagh get a supporting actor out of this because he was really good. He was really good. Boy, was he a hell of a villain. All good movies like this need an amazing villain, and Branagh was a great villain. Loved him. All right, y'all. I've been going for about 24 minutes. I'm about talked out, without having too many folks to respond to, but that's sort of my reaction and rundown of Tenet. I loved it. I'm going to go see it again, and I will talk to y'all on the next video. Bye.